Like, y'all have no idea. Greetings. I am so excited. Okay, this is what I was talking about, right? The promise of God. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys some principles. They're principles to life. We see it everywhere. We see it happening everywhere. It's just amazing. So I'm gonna talk about like God's promise, what actually happened from Old Testament with Abraham to the New Testament. Teach you all some principles along the way. Help you understand how it is you can be successful in life, and it's not by the means of scandals, all these different systems that man built to try to be prosperous, but then you're empty because you don't have God. I'm talking about God's design and how that can cause us to live fruitful lives. I want to start in Genesis because that's where it all originated. And Christ always said that. Christ himself said that I am the beginning and the end. He is the beginning and the end, and he's the first and the last. He is the Genesis and he is the revelation. Right? In Joel chapter 2, he said where he will pour out his spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, young men shall see visions, old men shall dream dreams. I'll pour my spirit, says the Lord. And before them, he said, will be the Garden of Eden, and behind them, desolation. Why? Because God is bringing us back to how it was in Eden before the fall. He's bringing us back to relationship. He's bringing us back to dominion. Yeah? Now, what Christ represented was who man would have been if they were still connected to God. If God ruled in our hearts, if God lived in us, if God walked with us. Jesus said, I do what I see my Father do. He said, I can't do nothing without my Father. Jesus at no point in time ever did things on his own terms or said things on his own terms. He said, every word I speak, the Father told me. He's the one that speaks through me. I speak what he said. I can't speak anything on my own. And Jesus showed us who we really are. Because when God made man, he made us in his image and after his likeness. So we are like God. It's not something far-fetched. It's not something impossible. But you see, we can't do anything God-like without his spirit empowering us to do so. Because through the Old Testament, the law, man couldn't do anything to meet the standards of God. They had to serve the Lord thy God with their might. So all their heart, all their mind, all their heart, all their soul, and all their might. And come on. Heart, mind, soul, and strength. They had to use their strength. But it wasn't. You see, their strength wasn't enough. All man failed. All sin and fell short of the glory of God. None was righteous. None. Not one. Not one was holy. But Jesus Christ was. Now, there's a principle to success, right? God set up everything. God is a king. Jesus is a king. He was not a religious leader. Let's get that through our thick skulls, right? He's not a religious leader. He is a king. That's why before the religious court, he didn't say anything there. But when he went before Pilate, this is the right thing. Government versus government. This is where I shine, So when Pilate said, do you know I have the power to kill you or set you free? And Jesus was like, real humble. I just spicing it up. Pilate, young boy, listen, Pilate. Listen, young man. Everything that you have, the kingdom of heaven, by the way, my kingdom, right? Yeah. Gave it to you. Okay? Now shut your mouth and crucify me, please. Okay, not like that. Okay? But basically, Jesus was all too happy to share that, hey, Pilate, I gave that power to you. Son, listen, son who don't know that I'm your father yet, okay? Do you know that I can call on 10 legions of angels right now and deliver me out of your hands? Do you know that? You didn't know that. You didn't know I was a king. That's why when Pilate asked him, are you a king? Jesus answered and said, you said correctly. Jesus is a king. Oftentimes he asks the disciple, who do you say that I am? Some say you're a prophet, some say you're this, some say you're that. No, but who do you say that I am? You're the Son of God. If Jesus is not a king, if he's not the chosen one, if he's not the King of Kings and Lord of Lords in our own minds, we disqualify him from being king, and we will never truly understand what he's all about. You will think he's probably just some wise person, a prophet, some religious leader, but he's a king. If you want to know God, you have to know the truth about God. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but by me. We need to know the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Now, I'm going to dish out some truths here, right? Now, laws is what God spoke to be. He set up laws. My eyelash kind of curly and it's going in my eyes. I touch my eye, right? But he set up laws. And these laws were designed to make life successful, because everything God made, he said it was good. Right? Now, when God made man and he put man in Eden, Eden means presence. He put man in God's presence. That was man's place of being, where they thrive in God's presence. When he created the fish, he spoke to the water. When God created the grass and the herbs and also the animals, he spoke to the ground, right? When he created the fish and birds, he spoke to the water. When his animals crawl and beasts that crawls and such, he spoke to the ground. These things feed on the thing that they came from. Fishes feed in the sea. Birds, many birds feed from the sea. And they have scales and they look similar to fishes and stuff. That's like people, evolutionists think that, fishes probably, birds probably came from fishes. No, God said he made them and he finished what he did, and that's it. Nothing needed to evolve. Like, throw that away, right? Anyways, so, amen, right? So, man now, he formed our bodies from the dust of the ground. And he breathed into us the breath of life. Before he made man, he said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. Now, he's not talking about to himself and angels. Angels didn't share in anything, angels don't have creative power to create man. God was speaking to himself, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Just as he is 3 in 1, we are body, soul, spirit, 3 in 1. Okay? He made us after his image and likeness. He's 3 in 1, we are 3 in 1. You see the connection? Amen. For those of you who didn't know. Anyways, moving on, right? So, when God made man, he set up laws for life to function by. Like, for example, a seed. Now, every seed is in itself. The seed is in itself. When he made the green herbs and stuff, he said it produced fruit, and the seed is in itself. Now, you can take that principle. The seed is in itself. Adam was a carrier of seed. Yeah? And every seed produced after its kind. Now, you take a corn, green, you plant that, it grows up and it grows into many other corns. It produces much more corn. Corn produce corn. Seed produce after its kind, right? Orange, same. Apple, same. Strawberries, same. You plant strawberries, I don't even know how that works. But anyways, right? So, I haven't studied it. Botany and all that stuff, right? But that's what happens. That's a principle. A dog cannot produce a non-dog. A cow cannot produce a goat. Like, let's be real. Humans cannot produce mermaids. Mermaids are not real, by the way. Anyways, so, right? Every seed produces after its kind. That's why the word of God says, through Adam, death came into the world. Now, the wages of sin is death, right? But through Adam, death came into the world. Why do you say that? Because when Adam sinned, he became a corrupt seed, and every seed produced after its kind. Hence, Cain and Abel want to bust each other head. Not really Abel, Cain bust his brother head because he vexed that God accepted his sacrifice and such. And he doing halfway walk, he ain't really doing the best. And I expect God to be pleased with he halfway walk. Come now, man. And you vex at your brother for doing the right thing? Whatever. That's the thing that was upset me. Anyways, it's only upset me because I will cross over from darkness into light and I develop in the mind of Christ. And I have the mind of Christ, not develop, I have it. I just know in him more and more. So, I'm beginning to hate things that God hates. So, whatever. Not people. I don't hate people. I love you. But I hate sin. Okay? And I'm hating it more and more. Sin don't love you. Sin brings death. Like, why would you indulge in it? Okay? So, ouch. Yeah? Anyways, so every seed produces after its kind. There's a principle with regards to laws. Laws, as I said, helps things to function. It makes things be successful. It causes things to be successful. It must operate within the laws and the parameters of its design. If you try to use a phone to iron your clothes, it will not work. It was not built for that. If you try to use a toaster oven to wash your clothes, it will not work. It wasn't designed for that purpose. Okay? God is very intentional and he make no mistakes. Now, a lot of us out here ain't know nothing and try and experiment with everything. I want to put my toe here. Curious and retarded. Ignorant is the right word. Ignorant, void of knowledge and understanding. Their foolish hearts were darkened, and now they're doing anything with the self. Right? Experimenting. Curious. You will not be curious if you understood the consequences. It will cut off your curiosity. You will stop your nonsense. Not because you know a crocodile could crush a watermelon. You will put your head in a crocodile's mouth. Or you're so curious, I want to see how it looks when a human head gets crushed. Really? You're just desperately wicked. That's what's going on with you. Anyways, so back to the principles. Now, God set up laws for life to work and function. You take a seed, you put it in the soil. I always use this analogy with anybody I talk to. I'm going to university and I talk to people about these simple principles to help them understand, right? Already built into the seed is the potential to produce after its kind and over and over and over, where the potential of that seed is basically a forest, right? Same with man. Adam had so many children, right? Okay? And if you obey the laws of how a seed work, a seed was meant to go into the ground. Like when it falls and the fruit rotten and the thing is sink into the ground, the seed dies. And then it sprouts out, it grows another tree, it bears fruit, and the process keeps going and going. You know, it preserves and it keeps going on from generation to generation. Now, same with Adam. If you take a seed and you interrupt its design and you do not put it in the soil where it thrives, its environment, its source, where it comes from. Seed came from the ground. It has to go back into the ground in order to grow and continue its cycle. Man was placed in Eden, God's presence. For man to thrive, they have to be in God's presence. For a fish to live, it has to remain in the water. For an animal to continue to live, it has to feed from things that comes from the ground, or on other animals that feed on the things of the ground because they came from the ground. So therefore their source is the ground. A fish source is food and water and all these different things. Fish feed on other fish or smaller things or some things on some grass and stuff that's in the water. I say grasses, whatever. You understand, right? Great. Birds, a lot of them feed on fishes and these different things and other scaly whatever things. Birds are kind of complicated to me. But they all came from the water nevertheless. Okay? All of them. I'm not sure about the ostrich. I don't know if the ostrich came from the ground or from the water, because ostriches are pretty big, they don't fly. I think they came from the ground. These guys crawl, so they definitely came from the ground. Anyways, so I don't know that, but I think I would assume that, right? They can't fly, so unless they run out the sea. Can you imagine it? Anyways, right? So just like a man, a human being, you take a man out of the presence of God, and you do not obey the natural design of a man and what he was meant to do, which is not fornicate, not lie and steal and kill and all these different things. You see, because men are much more complex in nature, a seed don't have a choice. It is a seed. In it, it's already designed to do what it was designed to do. You put it in the environment, it grows. You put man in the right environment, we will grow. God say, if you obey my commandments, you keep my laws, and you do them, you shall make your way prosperous. You will make your way prosperous. Why? Because there are laws that governs man. And when man obeys those laws, naturally, it's predictable, and they will be successful. You will be successful, and it is predictable. Principles never change. Laws never change. When you obey the laws, you actually protect yourself, you keep yourself, and you thrive, and you win. But when you disobey the laws, when you break the laws of God, you actually don't break the law because your law keeps working. You actually break yourself. You break yourself when you break the law. You jump off a building, the law of gravity will grab a hold on you. 10 stories, you jump off a building. You violated the law of gravity? No, you didn't. Because the law of gravity still works. You violated yourself. You're going to die. The wages of sin is death. When we violate laws, we violate our own lives. We're technically dead. It's just a matter of time. You disconnect a fruit from the tree, which is its source, that fruit will die. Actually, it died the moment it disconnected. It was just a matter of time until death manifested. God said, Adam, you would surely die. What did he mean? Spiritual death. Because when God breathed into us, we became a living soul. The reason why Adam's body still was alive is because he continued to eat from the ground. Because the body came from the dust of the ground. So therefore we have to eat from things that come from the ground to keep this body alive. Right? To keep our spirit alive, we have to read the word and eat of the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood. He gave us his body and his blood so that we may live. Because he who do not eat my flesh nor drink my blood have no life in him. But he who eats my flesh and drinks my blood, my flesh is meat indeed, my blood is drink indeed. He that eats my flesh and drinks my blood shall have life in him, everlasting life, and I will raise him up in the last day. Check the book of John chapter 6, verses 48 straight to 53. Jesus talked about it himself. He told you. He said it. So whatever is new to you here, go and search the scriptures, please. Right? I'm not telling you anything new. Everything I tell you is from the word of God. Cool. Now, seeing that we understand that laws help us to be successful, and everything we were designed to do, it's built in. You don't teach a bird to fly. Flight is built in. It learns to fly. It's designed for that purpose. You don't have to teach a fish to swim. It learns how to swim. It's designed to swim. Right? Good. I don't have to teach you how to be you. You are you. It's built in. Right? So stop copying others. Be yourself. You're original. You're unique for a reason. It was intentional design. Like, seek God and find out your identity now. Stop pretending to be what you're not. Like, cut it out. It's annoying. I love you, by the way. But please, stop doing that foolishness. Anyways, moving forward. Now check this out and jump into the promise. You understand the principle of the seed and success and all these things and laws and why it's so important to follow laws. Right? You don't put a seed on tile and put water and expect it to grow. That's what you call being foolish and void of wisdom and understanding. Right? You don't sin, is what I'm saying. Don't sin, or else you will not be prosperous and you'll be a mess. People who have a messed up life and things are so complicated is because they're sinning and they want to know why life's so unpredictable. Principles are predictable. You follow principles, you live based on principles, your life will be predictable. It's unpredictable because you're not following principles, you're doing everything else. Broad is the way that leads to destruction. It's a road of confusion and utter chaos. Straight and narrow is the way that leads to everlasting life. Obey my laws and live, says God. Disobey and die. It's your choice. Anyways, so check this out. I just really love this. Alright, so remember when Abraham desired to have a son, right? And he never had a son of his own, a biological son. Okay? And his wife Sarah, she was barren and such. And it was only until Abraham became old, like 99 years of age, where finally the Lord blessed Sarah's womb and gave Abraham the desires of his heart. So all Abraham's life he waited to have his own son. Finally! You can imagine waiting, let's be realistic, about 89 years. You may not have desired a son at age 10. Probably, let's say, 79 whole years, this man wanted a son of his own. Right? He wanted a son of his own. So long he waited for this. God blessed Sarah's womb. He had his own son. He named him Isaac. Now, we had a son before, but our son name is Ishmael, but it came from one of the concubines. It came from Sarah's servant, matter of fact. And because Sarah's servant successfully bore Abraham a child, she was jealous and started mistreating her. And then she ran, I forgot the name of the woman. I don't know if it was Hagar, but she ran away because her mistress was mistreating her. And the angel said, where are you going? Like, no, go back to your mistress and just obey her and, take your licks. So she obeyed, she went back, such and such. So Ishmael was Abraham's first son, but not with his wife Sarah. It wasn't the son of promise. Ishmael, by the way, came up with the Muslim religion. That's how far back Islam started, from Ishmael. Ishmael started Islam. Isaac was the son that God promised Abraham for himself. He had his own son via his actual wife, bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh, so it was actually totally his son. Not a bastard son, but his legit son. Isaac was the promised son. And guess what? Guess what our loving Father decides to do? God, in all his loving, amazing ways, he's just so amazing. He asked Abraham one morning, out of the blue, random. He said, Abraham, sacrifice your son now, boy. How are your son? What? 79 years of my life I waited. Toiling. Waited so long, trying. Sarah womb just not producing no fruit. I reached 99 years and finally have my son, and you ask me to sacrifice him? Do you know Abraham actually never really think about much? Because he believed in God so much and trusted in God so much because God gave him a promise and said, I will give you many sons. But Abraham never saw the promise. Abraham don't know what to expect or how God was going to do that. He only had one by a miracle. So it's like, really? Sacrifice this one? It's my beloved son Isaac. This is my only begotten son Isaac. Abraham didn't even say a word. He got up, he took his son, he called his servants to get the horse and the gates, whatever, and he got his son Isaac, and they went on their way to the mount. Yeah? Oh boy, I need to charge my phone. Hold up. Alright. And they went on their way to the mount for him to offer up his son Isaac. Now Isaac was like, yo dad, we have all the things, but where the sacrifice? He said the Lord will provide the sacrifice. Although in his head he knows that the Lord asked him to make sure Isaac is the sacrifice. So Isaac didn't know that he was going to be killed and offered up to the Lord. Until he reached the mount, he bound his own son. And he raised the blade and he was going to offer his only begotten son that he desired all his life unto God without question. Without question. He believed God. He believed in something that God said that he never even saw. But let me tell you what boosted Abraham's faith. Because Abraham waited so long and God actually saw it through to give him his first son Isaac, his only begotten son, that built Abraham's faith so much that without a question he was actually willing to give up that first promise, that first son, for the promise of many sons. Many sons. So we are amazed by Abraham's faith, but really and truly it took a long process for him to get that kind of faith. So when you're in your waiting period, waiting for God to do something, the waiting is good because it develops perseverance, and when perseverance takes its full work, you will lack nothing. You will be perfect. And you will be able to handle the blessing and you will not abuse it, nor sin against God because of it. So wait on the Lord and he will renew your strength. Just wait on him, okay? Now, Abraham had faith in God and God credited it unto him as righteousness, because that is righteousness, believing in God more than anything else, more than your feelings, more than your circumstances. And guess the goodness of God. God actually told Abraham, stop! The angel, matter of fact, don't do it. Don't sacrifice your son. We got the message. You were obedient. You were going to do it. Here's what. You get to keep your son. And by the way, because of your obedience, I bless you. You will have many sons. Many sons. Now, I think the promise came after he go to sacrifice his only son. So God blessed Abraham when he was obedient. I didn't believe he got the promise before he sacrificed Isaac. But he got the promise of being a father of nations because of his obedience to sacrifice Isaac. I'll read it over. Right? But this is the message. Check this. Just as Abraham was willing to sacrifice his only begotten son unto God, in the same way, God sacrificed his only begotten son for the world. But this is the catch. Because Abraham obeyed God and was willing to do it, a great sacrifice. Isaac was like his life. All my life for Isaac. And I'm willing to give it unto God. I'm willing to give it up to God. Could you imagine the price that was for God? Without question, who without question did it and planned it before the foundations of the world. The price it was, excuse me, dinner. The price it was for God to offer up his only son for us. But this is the beautiful thing. Just as Abraham get to keep Isaac and yet get many more children, the same way God's plan, Jesus, he get to keep Jesus and yet many others who are saved through him. Do you see the goodness and the majesty of God? It was like a preview of what was to come. Abraham, willing to offer his only begotten son for God, get to keep his son. He didn't even lose it. He get to keep his son Isaac and have many other children. But guess what? God planned to make sure that promise came through Isaac and then through Jacob and then through generation. See? God's plan. We may not always see it or perceive it or understand it, but trust him. Be persuaded by him. I'm talking to my believers and those who might bounce up this video who want saved. Like, try Jesus now, man. Like, Jesus is amazing. You know? So, God is so awesome. The thing about Jesus now, which is God's only begotten son, God told Jesus, hey, here's my son. Lay your life down for them. And after doing so, pick it back up. Jesus said, my Father gave me authority to lay down my life. I will lay down my life and I will pick it up again. So on the third day, Jesus rose again. So God never lost his son Jesus, but guess what? Because of the sacrifice, he got many more sons and daughters through Jesus Christ. He became sin for us so that we may be the righteousness of God through Christ Jesus. Because when God looks upon us, he sees Jesus Christ who lives in us. He sees his righteousness that clothes us. There's a principle to this. Obedience is always greater than sacrifice, but oftentimes sacrifice is not the same as obedience, because you can, in other words, not all sacrifices are based on obedience, but all obedience requires sacrifice. Always choose to obey. Don't be like Saul, who disobeyed God to worship God. That's foolish. God said to burn up all the treasures and stuff. He gone and he take it to go and worship God and offer it up. What? You disobey me to worship me? What kind of fool it? Sorry. That was a little harsh. You disobey me to worship me? Kind of... Sorry, myself. Saul was fired. Yeah? King Saul, he was fired. God had a replacement waiting called David. Do not disobey God with good intentions to serve God. That is being an idiot. Don't do it. Don't be fired before your time. Right? Anyways. Oh, God bless you. I tell you, God is so amazing. God have many other children, I being one of them. Father Abraham has many sons, and many sons and Father Abraham, and I am one of them, and so are you. And those who aren't saved, you just don't know it yet. You don't know that you are a son of God. But check the principle of the seed, which I was discussing earlier in this video. This video is actually half an hour long, which is pretty cool because it felt like only 5 minutes. I'm joking. Probably felt like 20 minutes. Every seed produced after its kind. Through Adam, death came into the world. All of us are born in sin shaped with iniquity because Adam was a corrupt seed and he produced after his kind, which is of the flesh. Adam is of the flesh through generation, right? We are all born in sin shaped with iniquity because of the seed of Adam, which became corrupt because Adam became corrupt, right? A bad tree bears bad fruits, as Jesus said. So principle cannot change. That's why generational curses. You'll see a drug addict have a child and that child end up in drugs just the same if Christ don't come in and wipe that nonsense away, right? So that's principle, right? Now through Jesus, through Abraham, the promise of Abraham, Jesus being a seed of God, because God swore by himself and there's no greater to swear by, and God exalts his word above his name. He never breaks his word, right? Now through Jesus, so through Abraham, which is through the lineage coming up from Abraham, through David and Jesus, through the seed of God, through Jesus Christ, a seed must be buried and die for its potential inside to be released and to grow into a tree. Now Jesus was buried and rose again on the third day, and therefore brought forth much fruit. He brought forth fruit on the earth, died, rose again. And now all of us are now seeds of Abraham, the promise, through Jesus Christ. We are now, his seed is in us. But that's why in the book of John, 1 John also says that a child of God don't sin because the seed of God remains in him. Jesus is the seed of God. And he lives in us through the Holy Spirit. Just as the Holy Spirit came upon Mary, the Holy Spirit comes upon us, not to impregnate us, yes, but actually to impregnate us with God, the Spirit of Christ, the mind of Christ, that we may be filled with him, so that we can share, we can witness, we can love. I want us to be very careful. Do not try to live holy by your strength. The Old Testament say, love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Might wasn't enough. Everyone failed. Jesus upped the game. He said, don't just commit adultery, don't not commit adultery, but don't even think about doing it. Oh, he raised the game. So the law that was real hard to keep, Jesus actually raised the standards of holiness, which is from your own thoughts, because it's iniquity when it's not yet done. They could have had iniquity, but just not do it. We can't even have iniquity. That's impossible. A man can't cleanse himself of sin. That's why Jesus had to die, so that he can do it for us. He can take sin from us so that we don't die, because death have power over sin, and whatsoever sin infects, death takes it. Christ had no sin.